Hey. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to August Garden Update. We're squeezing it in at the end of the month. It's been weird weather, and Vinny's eating tomatoes right now. Look at that bad dog. Vinny! He doesn't even listen. Anyways, here's an update. It's been a while. I don't know what these are. Courtney planted these. They're probably flowers. That's just my guess. Don't know. Okay. Here's the money plant. Look at this big old money plant. Some people say this looks like a weed plant. I think that they're 14. Don't know what weed plants look like. Tiny Tim's been living literally in a little shack, like living in the shade. And he's doing great. He keeps making little tomatoes. He's twice as tall as he used to be. I think this is called a palea, and it also is called a Chinese money tree. Or no, Chinese friendship tree?
Either way, it's valuable.
Yeah, I don't know. Chinese value. I don't think we've looked at this plant before. It's actually really cool. It's called a goldfish plant. And it has these funky plants that look like goldfish. Or I mean flowers that look like goldfish crackers. And it's been blooming for months. Pretty cool plant. I actually think it's supposed to be an indoor plant. It kind of looks like one, right? Kind of rubbery, pretty groovy. Over here we have the eggplant, and it is doing well to the point that you can see we got some eggplants growing. So here's our biggest specimen right here. You can get a shot of that eggplant. One thing you'll notice with the current garden is that it's full of marigolds. When I was a kid, I didn't really like marigolds because they smelled funky. I do like them now. I don't have a problem with the smell. These are really tall marigolds and all the other ones are shorter. Over here, almost all the daylilies have been cut back. They already flowered. You saw them in the last video, but they were great. Back here, we call this the mystery tomato because we don't remember what it is. I think it's one of the only things that survived the frost from the basement. But it's been growing tomatoes on the ground, which is kind of weird. You can see one here that's almost ripe. So that's how tomatoes grow if you leave them alone. Vinny! He doesn't care. This sugar rush is finally growing, but still no peps. It's like the only pepper plant with no peps. So that's bullshit. It's fine. Over here, we cleared out this area a little bit. We hacked back the catmint into something much more manageable. If you remember, there was a huge bush here of catmint or catnip, and now it's much more manageable. Same thing with the valerian. That was a huge thing that we cut back. And this oregano has just been flowering forever. Still tastes great. This is an amazing plant. It's so hardy. I whack this thing with the hose all the time. All the time, no problem. The lovage, it's past its prime. You can see that it looks like a pile of garbage. That's okay. This is dill, gone to seed, and that's okay. But I was picking this and using it for pickles. Here's the start of some marigolds. We've got like two-tone, regular tone, and something that has been in the garden the whole time. I don't think I've ever pointed out. I might have. Right here is the sneaky purple basil. That's right, just this guy is a purple basil. I don't know what its deal is. Looks kind of shitty right now, but we've had that the whole time. Here in these three tomatoes, which are the hillbilly, the 1000 whatever, and the mortgage lifter, these plants are doing very, very well. We've gotten several tomatoes off of each of these, and they're continuing to ripen. I think that the 1000 tomato is a determinate tomato, which means that it puts out a bunch and then it stops. Vinny has been picking this plant clean. So we got more than we can eat, but we probably would have had twice as much because Vinny just eats these tomatoes all day, every day. Give you an example for how some of these tomatoes are starting to ripen very well. We've picked a lot of the lower ones, but you can see as they're exposed to the sun, they start to ripen. This thing is kind of collapsed over into Jan's yard, but that's fine. It's free real estate. 1, 2, 3 right here. These are all jalapenos. We've gotten tons of peppers off of them, and they're very, very spicy. Much spicier than regular jalapenos. And I've been regularly picking them in hopes of more production. When it's hot outside, Iggy likes to sit in the sun. Meanwhile, Vinny eats tomatoes.
Happy boy.
This little vine right here, actually this whole section, which used to be garlic, we've planted with other things to varying degrees of success. So this right here is a miniature pumpkin vine, which we've grown in the past, and hopefully it makes small pumpkins you could fit them in your hand. They're fun and festive. And we got more marigolds. And these just bloomed like a day or two ago. These are teddy bear sunflowers. And you know, sunflowers are known for being very, very tall. They can get like 20 feet high. These ones, we thought they would get to the fence, but actually this is as tall as they've grown. But they're fun. They're super fun. And they'll make seeds just like the bigger ones too. We pulled out our ground cherry and we left a bunch of the fallen homey cherries, as it were, so it'll probably regrow. But it just like made a shitload of ground cherries and then it died. Here's our blackberry, which is just totally insane. And like some have commented that this thing's gonna take over our life. We have like trimmed off dead sections, and every time we do that, another section just grows like crazy. You can see this whole, this big thing is just laden with berries. We're still getting berries. We've been getting berries for like several months. I just picked some today even, but I actually had to hang it up on a nail because this big old shoot or briar or whatever you want to call it, it got so heavy with berries it couldn't support itself. Our 40-year-old jade tree still has the disease, but it doesn't look as bad. It's definitely had a ton of new growth since being out here. So I'm hoping that maybe it can kick it. I mean, like, kick the disease, not kick the bucket. Over here we have the cucumber, which I can't believe this thing is still making cucumbers, but it is. The terminal end has been whacked. So, but you can see we still are getting like fairly nice cucumbers. And this plant is basically f***ed. I thought it would have died a month ago. I have some awful looking orange, they look like they're full of radiation cucumbers inside. I'll show you those at the end. These are those moonflowers, which are also called tropical morning glories. They still haven't put out a single bloom. Should have bloomed in June. It's the end of August. Here's some of the green beans. You just look at the bottom area, you can see we've got some really nice, well, actually I think most of them have been picked. We've got some pretty cool colors, you know, pink and green together. That's not a very good one. I thought there were other ones. These are a little bit old, but they're still good. We're still getting a couple beans. We let the chard just keep going, so now it's huge. But really the piece de resistance is our purple bean towers, which now that they've gone all the way up and come back down are producing shitloads of purple beans. And we pick like all of these every few days. But just look how many beans there are. There's beans wherever you look, even down here. Look at this, more beans. Here's our box of stuff we don't care about. That's it. Over here we have some tomatoes, and this is actually really cool because this particular pot doesn't get enough light, but it's still growing, and it's actually Roma tomatoes. So if you look at these guys, these have gotten so heavy it's pulling the whole plant down, which is just really neat. I'm really excited for these. I hope that no critter gets these because I'll be sad, but you can see there's another round coming up here. This is a stressed out plant. You can see that like we tied it and it's a curlicue. I need to fix that. Same deal for this guy. I think this is a mortgage lifter. I don't know, it's looking good. This is another plant that has fallen victim to Vinny. You can see there's tons and tons of tomatoes, but Vinny gets almost all of them. Something fun that we've let grow is this crazy little tomato. This is like last year, this is a dog garden tomato. So presumably it is germinated from dog shit and it just grew in the mint and we just let it go and now it has tons of tomatoes. Parsley's doing fine. I've used this a ton in PGC recipes. And then this is the Hillary Clinton mint from her garden or whatever, covered in flowers. I haven't used it for anything. Our hot peppers are really starting to produce. So this is, I think, another jalapeno. And then we don't know what the f this is. So Courtney kept saying this is a datil. It's clearly not a datil. It's purple. It's making weird purple peppers. I haven't tried one yet. I don't know. Not a datil. These are the sugar rush peppers. And you can see they make these like white, yellowish peppers. I still have to try those too. And then the celery is starting to get more celery-like. The Hungarian heart tomato plant, we grew a tomato that was over 2 pounds. And I showed that at some point, so you guys saw it. But most of the really, really large tomatoes from this plant got eaten by something. And it was really frustrating because each big one, it was like some human came along and took a bite out of it, like an apple, and then threw it on the ground. It was one a day, and they would just go like one down, one down, one down. But as this continues to grow, you can see there's tons and tons of new ones that are starting to develop all over this plant. They're just not as big. On the flip side, the tie-dye plant has just totally kicked the bucket. Like it's barely alive. I keep trimming this thing down. Probably will kill it at some point. So more celery, it's all crowded, and then just tons and tons of peppers. Up front, I don't remember what this is. I think it's some kind of cayenne based on how the peppers look. I haven't tried those yet, but the back one, this is our chocolate habanero, and it's been super prolific. So I probably picked 10 of these already, and there's just more coming. I'm gonna make hot sauce out of them. And then over here we have yet more eggplants. Courtney likes eggplants. Not much else to say about anything in the garden other than we added a hummingbird feeder right here, which was totally magical because when we were hanging this, we've never seen a hummingbird in our backyard, but literally we were hanging this and I was over there watching Courtney hang it, and a hummingbird like flew into our yard and just chilled out on the power lines and then flew away. And I was like, what is this, a Disney movie? So that's it for the main garden. Let's go inside real quick. Come with me. So we've been just throwing produce inside. Here's our pepper bowl, and you can see, look at these beautiful hobs. I'm very excited to make hot sauce out of these. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. The greenest beanus. So here's those dragon tongue peppers. Beans. These honestly, they look really cool. They don't taste that great. They're a little bit tough. But these purple beans, which we've been eating very tender, or picking pretty young, they're absolutely delicious. Great texture, very tender. They squeak when you eat them, but when you cook them, they turn green. All the purple goes away, which is weird. We got a few tomatoes. So here's a tie-dye, which looks pretty cool. This one, I believe, is a mortgage lifter. I could be wrong, could be hillbilly. These are the Hungarian hearts. This is a smaller example from that 2 pound. This is probably half a pound. So imagine something 4 times the size of that. And here's these awful orange irradiated cucumbers. We left home for a trip for like 2 days and we came back to these. So there's that, and their stupid, weird brain. Anyways, that's it. That's it for the garden for this month. It's been great. We're in full production. Gardening is good. Goodbye.